Scientists constantly make new discoveries on the Red Planet, or confirm their earlier hypotheses. What is NASA's plan for colonizing Mars? Can you eat Martian spaghetti? And is it true that scientists once discovered and killed life on the Red Planet? Let's talk about all this today. But first, I want to tell you a story that happened 50 years ago on Mars. In 1976, NASA launched the Viking program. After landing on the Red Planet, the Viking landers encountered strange formations inside Martian rocks. Without hesitation, the research team decided to take samples for analysis. Each Viking lander carried out 4 different experiments on Mars, mixing soil, water, and carbon dioxide. However, the results puzzled scientists and still spark debate among astrobiologists today. The first experiment supported the idea of life on Mars. Even more, it hinted at a kind of metabolism inside these formations. The second gas experiment also detected traces of chlorinated organic compounds, but scientists assumed they were contamination from cleaning products used on Earth. Later probes and rovers, however, proved that such organic compounds are common on Mars. Unfortunately, the gas exchange experiment, considered the most important of the 4, gave a negative result. So, most scientists eventually concluded that Viking had not found Martian life, and it seemed the whole story could be forgotten. But why am I telling you this then? Months later, doubts about the last experiment arose. After many calculations, scientists realized that the results may have been distorted. It turned out that too much water was used in the experiments. This means the Viking tests may have accidentally killed Martian microbes, which suggests life could exist on Mars. Of course, this is not 100% proven, but similar bacteria live here on Earth and could hypothetically exist on the Red Planet, so they cannot be ruled out. Still, scientists admit that NASA may have discovered and accidentally killed Martian life 50 years ago. But it's not worth blaming NASA researchers. Perhaps there was no life on Mars at all. And maybe the Viking findings were just false. Believe me, Mars has plenty of those. For example, the Perseverance rover recently found a mysterious object resembling spaghetti, though it looked more like a ball of fur, tangled threads, or perhaps some strange Martian creature. Either way, you definitely shouldn't eat it. For now, Mars is the only planet, besides Earth, that we've studied in such detail. So it's no surprise that Mars is the most likely candidate for colonization. In 2020, the Perseverance rover was launched, the very same one that spotted Martian spaghetti. Its mission is to study habitability, search for signs of microbial life, collect and store samples, and prepare for future human missions. Moreover, NASA is already recruiting volunteers to test a Mars base. Of course, the experiment will take place on Earth, not on Mars. The project, called CHAPEA, will begin in spring 2025 and last 1 year. 4 participants will live and work inside a 160 square meter Mars base model built with a 3D printer. The habitat, named Dune Alpha, will simulate Martian conditions, including limited resources, equipment failures, communication delays, and other potential astronaut challenges.
Their tasks will include simulated spacewalks, operating robotic devices, exercising, and growing crops. The base will be located at NASA's Johnson Space Center in Houston, Texas.
And here are the requirements for candidates. As you see, scientists take this very seriously. They have even identified places on Mars suitable for planting lichens and autotrophic bacteria organisms that synthesize organic substances from inorganic ones. These areas are the Mariner Valleys and the Hellas Basin, located near the planet's equator. There, microbes would be protected from temperature extremes and ultraviolet radiation, allowing them to reproduce and eventually transform Mars into a more habitable planet. But first, conditions must be softened before seeding the microorganisms to complete the transformation. Not all scientists agree, though. Some argue this process would take forever. An alternative idea is that aerogel domes could help make Mars habitable. This idea came from a phenomenon already happening on Mars. Unlike Earth's polar ice caps, made of frozen water, Mars's polar caps consist of both water ice and frozen carbon dioxide. In its solid state, carbon dioxide lets sunlight pass through while trapping heat. In summer, this greenhouse effect creates pockets of liquid water beneath the ice. Aerogel could replicate this. This ultralight porous material, made by replacing a gel's liquid component with gas, has extremely low thermal conductivity. Being 97% porous, aerogel allows light to pass through easily, which means it could be used for building living domes or even whole autonomous biospheres on Mars. Colonizing Mars sounds great, but it will require many people. Scientists estimate that 25 people might sustain a single colony for a short time, but for a fully autonomous settlement, at least 110 people are required. Some claim 98 would be enough. Either way, sending that many people to another planet is incredibly difficult, especially since the first colonists will face harsh conditions: low oxygen, radiation, and no plants. Buildings would likely be 3D printed using Martian materials such as basalt and renewable bioplastics. Water could be extracted from the soil. Before humans arrive, rovers will study the ground to locate favorable sites. Special equipment would heat the soil to high temperatures, causing water to evaporate, which would then be collected and stored. Extracted water could then be recycled, which is much faster than obtaining new water. According to forecasts, each Martian colonist could use up to 50 liters of water per day, enough for a comfortable life. But what about food? The Martian surface is unsuitable for farming, so colonists will need innovative methods of food production. At first, supplies will be brought from Earth. Algae and insects are among the best candidates, as they reproduce quickly and don't need soil. Later, food production will move to greenhouses with artificial lighting, using waste as nutrients or imported resources from Earth. Future settlers will be trained to use Martian greenhouse systems, and anyone could build a personal garden. Another option is 3D printed food. Livestock, however, would be extremely hard to bring to Mars, leaving colonists without meat unless artificial meat is developed. Meanwhile, Perseverance continues exploring. After 4 years, it has made many discoveries. On the 13th of June 2022, it photographed a shiny, thread-like object wedged between rocks in Jezero crater. Sadly, it wasn't alien life, but a piece of the rover itself, blown away by Martian winds. Perseverance also confirmed evidence of an ancient lake on Mars. Data revealed sediment deposits left by water that once filled the crater. During that time, microbial life may have existed there. If so, those samples could one day reveal traces of it. Now, tell me in the comments, would you travel to Mars if you had the chance, knowing there would be no way back?